Hello folks, I thought I would give you a glimpse of the garden again this week. Not much has changed other than, I'm sorry, other than I have been pulling weeds. And you can see that the squash and the beans are starting to climb up over the chicken kennel. And of course the flowers are in bloom. And I thought I would let you look at the bees that have come today. So they were here a little bit ago, so I'll go down and set up the camera. Now when it comes to African blue basil, that storyline for a movie is plant it and they'll come, or build it and they'll come. Well, it's true for African blue basil. I don't know if you can see here, but there's like the Oscar Mayer Wiener advertisement they had when I was a kid on the tube is what kind of bees like blue basil. Well, big bees, little bees, skinny bees, fat bees, bumblebees, honeybees, even bees with varroa mites love blue basil. Well, the song was Armour Hot Dogs, but and they had chicken pox. But the bees are plagued. Even most bees have a problem with the varroa mite. But I just find these little guys. You can see here. I'll try to zoom in that you can actually see. This thing is just crawling. In the back there you can see there's a big bumblebee, there's a honeybee, there's these wee tiny little bees. They look like bumblebees. It's just incredible. I could sit here for hours on a Sunday afternoon and just bring a chair out and watch these here. And when you say why do you want the bees? Well, there are pollinators, and without them you're not going to squash and pumpkins and apples require pollinators. And since I've done this, my crop sets are much better. Now we're going to go over here and look at a squash. Before I brought the camera out, I saw some squash flowers that had opened, and we will observe what they do. Now the squash in this here are next to between the blue basil, and the purpose for that is because while they're at the blue basil, they'll stop at other things and visit and pollinate while they're there. So I'm going to pause this and we'll come back at a pumpkin stock or a squash stock. We have here now I got to get him back in. There was in this flower, there are presently three bees collecting in that one flower. And this is between two African blue basil plants. And they'll stop in. The wind is picked up, so there are not as many as there were out a little bit ago. But if you can see there, if I can get that flower in frame, and if I can keep the leaf out of the way, oops. I lost him, sorry. But anyway, you can see that the pollinators have arrived with the blue basils. One, and that's a different one, came up here at the chicken pen. And in here we have this one's much larger, and you can see this vine is going out into the yard. We're moving here, and just to show you how massive this vine is, these vines are. There's two plants here, and he's climbing up the chicken pen, and that is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 10 or 12 foot by 10 or 12 foot, and it's just loaded here, and here we are. Let me see if I can. We have this big one here, just to give you an idea how big he is so far, with my hand there. Then back here, just behind him, we have another one. And this year, for some reason, the squash are just doing absolutely wonderful. Now, I'll try to not shake too much. I'd like to have you see. Now here's one that's up along the side, and you can see he's a different shape. Now I never know what I'm going to get by volunteers, because I plant squash and pumpkins and of different varieties, and of course the bees don't just go shop at one flower. They go from flower to flower. So the hybrid could be anything, but I found them to be quite interesting. The other year I planted yellow crooknecks that were a bush. The next year came up a yellow crookneck, wasn't crookneck, a little bit bigger, and had a vine like these here. And they were absolutely delicious. So I tried them, and I haven't had any that were disappointing yet. So who knows, maybe this year will be different. Okay, I'm going to pause and set it up on the stand. Here we are at the edge of the garden. Of course, the sun's bright. My neighbor brought me a pile of some sawdust over from the shop, and I can use that for litter for the chickens and mulch for the blueberries. But here we can see the sunflowers going up in the air there. They're getting tall. Not as big as some years, because we couldn't get the stuff in early. But we also, you can see the blooms on the, let's see if I can get him focused in, the blooms on the, yeah, there we are, the blooms of the, now my brother has a row planted these seeds along his fence, and I didn't have the camera along, and his are just absolutely beautiful. He hasn't planted on the north side. These are being the scarlet runners, like it in the cool, and this is the north side here also, but his are just a mat of green and red, and the sunflowers, of course, you can see I think they're about ready to start pushing flowers. Okay, we'll pause and go see if the beans came up yet. They were walking in here, and I just thought I'd give you the glimpse of just all the butterflies that are hanging out around here. I'm sorry I had that in the wrong zoom. And there, I don't know if I can't see the screen right now, but over there are two yellow swallowtails, I guess they're called. 4, that is 5. Yeah, I don't own the butterfly bush. I guess that's why it's called butterfly bush. Of course, I see, oh, there's one flying around. I guess they're called cone flowers. I'm not an expert on flowers. I just looked up what bees will come to, and pollinators, and plenty. I have an affection. But the reason I'm walking in here is I just wanted to give you a glimpse of, this is new for me, and I like figs, and here, I don't know if you can see it or not, behind my hand, or in here, let's see if I can get him in there. All these, each one of, see if I can get my finger here, at each leaflet, there's 1 or 2 figs. Now down here we have so there's a leaf in the way. Sorry, there's one that's a little bigger, and as we go up the limb, at each leaf there is a fig. And I don't know, but the Bible talks about Jesus reaching into the fig tree, and there were no, I'm assuming that this is what he was looking for, was these little things that are pre-harvest. Well, this is interesting, because if I can get these to bear when the birds or the varmints don't get it, I should have me some figs. Here's another one loaded with figs. Okay, gonna pause it and go to the amaranth. Okay, we're here at Amaranth Row. As you can see there, this is the south side of the garden with the red raspberries in the background. I'll have the heads here in view, and I'm going to go stand beside that one, and hopefully I can get myself into the frame So you can see how high this is. Now, whether or not I get a pound of seed off of them, I don't know. We'll have to see. And last year I just let them go seed and plant themselves, and these are, like I said before, volunteers. They just came up on their own. Don't know if you can see this or not, but this is today's squash pick. There's a couple I threw back because they're too ripe. I picked them off because I want them to continue to, if you let them, a couple of big ones stay on. And some of these I'm not sure, I may still toss them. They may be a little mature. But about a 5-gallon bucket full. I thought I'd get you up close and personal here to what I think is beautiful. Just look at that stalk there. I mean, and they're probably, I don't know, a pound to 2 pounds each tied up there. And of course, is here. Okay, I thought I'd close with showing you today's harvest. Of course, you can see those are 5-gallon buckets, and that one's heaped up, and the other one has some in the bottom. I gave probably a half-gallon bucket, or half a 5-gallon bucket to the neighbor, and I'm sure it was half a 5-gallon bucket. So, you know, what do we have? 7, 8 gallons of squash. I got to find some more people who want to eat squash today. Okay, thank you. May the Lord bless.